Hey moviegoers, with Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi just a couple months away from hitting the theaters, I thought it would be fun to go through and list our favorite space travel movies. And here with me to do that is Adam Daly from Almost Sideways. Adam, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to us?
Thank you, Mike, of Merry Movie Reviews. It's such an awesome experience to be on your channel. I'm really looking forward to talking space movies with you. On my channel, I do movie reviews, ranking videos, basically anything about movies, I like to talk about them. So, yeah, I'm really excited about this. To infinity and beyond, let's get started.
Yeah, guys, definitely check out Adam's channel. The link is in the description down below. He does some great stuff, and I'm ready to get some nerdy talk going on these space movies. And we're going to kick it off with our honorable mentions. We each got 3, and my first one is Gravity. It's a movie that is directed by Alfonso Cuarón. It takes place all in space, just outside of Earth's orbit, well, in Earth's orbit, really, with Sandra Bullock. It's a stressful movie for sure. Next, I got Passengers with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. It's another space travel movie. I actually liked this movie. It was kind of hit or miss with critics in this one, but I personally liked this movie. And the next is Sunshine with Cillian Murphy. This was a pretty interesting movie, and it's got a great soundtrack. So Adam, what are some of your honorable mentions?
Well, that's a good list in my opinion. But on my list, I have about 3 as well. I have the 1990 Arnold Schwarzenegger classic Total Recall, where he gets himself to Mars. I just really like the whole the aspect of it. Yeah, it takes a lot of place on Mars, but the journey getting up there is a lot of fun. Also, Pitch Black with Vin Diesel is another fun one, but with Riddick. And another one that falls more heavily in space, it's WALL-E. This is another. I just love Pixar, and I love this film a lot. And just missed my my top 10 here, but it's just a really fun space movie, especially when WALL-E and Eve are out in space with the fire extinguisher. That scene warms my heart every single time I see it. So that's my honorable mentions there.
Those are some good honorable mentions. And I love that you said, in Total Recall, Arnold Schwarzenegger gives himself to Mars.
Yeah, he gets himself to Mars.
that was good. So we're going to kick this off with my number 10. That is Armageddon, directed by Michael Bay. I have to say this is one of my favorite Michael Bay films. It's got heart. It's stressful. There's an asteroid, or a global killer that they call it, coming to Earth, and Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck have to fly out into space, drill into this thing, drop a nuclear bomb, and blow it to smithereens. It's definitely right up Michael Bay's alley. It's got NASA, it's got American flags in it. I mean, what else can you say about this movie?
I don't want to miss a thing. That's the song right there.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's a good choice. I really like that choice a lot. At number 10 for me, I have a very cheesy B movie, but it's really a lot of fun. It's Starship Troopers. I have so much fun watching this over-the-top, ridiculous movie about killing bugs on a different planet. But there's some really kind of fun space sequences as well. Just a lot of cool, just cheesy lines, cheesy fun. Just a lot of fun times I have in this movie, and I love this atmosphere in this film. And I just love Rico going out and killing some bugs, coming from a high school football player to a bug exterminator. It's so funny, and Neil Patrick Harris is in it too. It's a fun, cheesy movie. What more do you want? It's just one of those. That's my guilty pleasure of all time. So number 10. That's why I'm putting it really low, but because it's just a lot of fun.
I have only seen that movie once, and I want to rewatch it because I do remember having fun with that movie.
It's so cheesy and over the top. It's just a fun time for sure.
Well, my number 9 is Apollo 13 by Ron Howard, starring Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, and Bill Paxton. This is another one of those stressful movies, kind of like Gravity, except better in my opinion. It's about the one of the moon missions, the Apollo missions. They were trying to go land on the moon, and there was just a catastrophic failure, and they had to pretty much abort the mission, loop back around the moon, and get back because they were not going to make it. And it's just a really powerful movie, and yeah, it's definitely one that I want to see again and again.
Well, number 9 for me is I Don't Want to Close My Eyes. It's Armageddon. I love that. That's the soundtrack. That soundtrack is really crazy too. But it's just a fun Michael Bay film that we get like a bunch of like people that shouldn't be heroes. They become heroes in this movie. They're oil driggers going up to space to destroy this asteroid. It's just an over-the-top Michael Bay film with a lot of slow motion cuts, a lot of low angles as well. Just American flags, NASA, the military. Just all the Michael Bay tropes are in there. And it's just a fun ride. I don't think it's as bad as people say. I remember seeing this in theater with my father. Just had so much fun watching it. It also holds a special place in my heart because my dad and I used to watch this quite a bit. And I just have so much fun with this as well. And yeah, Bruce Willis is the man in this movie. I really like him in that. So Armageddon, clear choice at number 9 for me.
My number 8 is Star Trek, the 2009 version. I grew up watching the original Star Trek movies with my dad, but this one just took Star Trek in a new direction. It kind of Star Warsified it, if you will. J.J. Abrams kind of brought it to a new audience, a younger audience. And the star-studded cast with Chris Pine, Zoe Saldana, Zachary Quinto, Simon Pegg, all those characters, all those actors, just makes for a really fun, enjoyable movie. And yeah, it's just a fun movie. I love how it's shot, all those camera angles. You feel like you're flying through the scene in a spaceship, and just the look of the Enterprise, so classic.
Another good choice that we might see again on my list as well. But number 8 for me, I have the Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm kind of surprised myself that I have it so low because this is one of my favorite Marvel films as well. Just have so much fun. Another Zoe Saldana film with Chris Pratt as well. I really like this movie a lot, and there's some really cool sequences they were able to pull off in space. I love the sequence with entering nowhere, just this big old floating skull in space. Really like what they were able to do, especially Marvel stepping out and doing something completely different. And my first thought about this movie was a talking raccoon and a talking tree. Is this really going to work? This is the film right now that's going to destroy Marvel. And boy, was I wrong. It's one of the most popular movies of their whole cinematic universe. One of my favorites. This is my number 2 favorite Marvel film as well. Just have so much fun watching this movie. The soundtrack's amazing. The cast is amazing. Just this movie overall is just a really fun time and definitely one of my favorite space films.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about that in a couple minutes myself. Yeah, my number 7 is, I was stuck between this one and the one that came before it. I had to put Aliens. While Alien is more set in space than Aliens, I just had more fun with Aliens because it's more action. Sigourney Weaver is just cooler in it. She's got that flamethrower. She faces off against the Queen Alien. I mean, this movie is pretty much what brought us that game that redefined first-person shooter video games, Halo. So, you know, Aliens is definitely one of my favorite space movies.
That's a great pick as well. Great pick. Man, we have a lot of good picks. Number 7 on my list is a newer film. It's called The Martian with Matt Damon. I really wasn't expecting much from this film. I didn't like the trailers too much. I think they showed a lot of... I thought they gave us more information than we actually needed. But going into the movie, I actually had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was rather smart, rather funny. Matt Damon was a really good, charismatic star in the film. Ridley Scott this is his best film that he's had in years. And I just really enjoy everything about this film. The cinematography, the score, just the cast and crew. It was really awesome, really believable as well. And very memorable. I love rewatching this film. It's one of probably the most beautifully shot films of that year. I just have so much fun with The Martian, and so I have to put this on my list.
That is definitely a great movie, and again, I'll be talking about that one as well. My number 6 is a movie that Adam already talked about, Guardians of the Galaxy by James Gunn. I mean, what more can we say about this movie? It was basically Marvel's Star Wars. And again, like you said, Adam, I was nervous about them putting a talking raccoon and a talking tree in this movie, but they turned out to be like the best characters in the movie. And it's because of that movie that we see Marvel as like an invincible, unstoppable force in Hollywood. Like, they can do no wrong at this point because they made a talking raccoon in a tree work so well. It's a fun movie, and we get the character Thanos having more of a prominent role. Yes, he's not in it that much, but we got to see a sneak peek of him at the end of Avengers, but this one he has lines, and man, that movie made me so much more excited for Avengers Infinity War than, oh man, I'm just so excited for that. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, so much fun.
Oh yeah, that's a great pick. I love that movie so much. But my number 6 is a movie you also just mentioned as well, and that's Star Trek 2009. I really wasn't expecting too much. I'm not a Trekkie by any means. I'm more of a Star Wars diehard fan. And the first 10 minutes of the film, I leaned over to my friend that I was with, and I was like, this is what the prequels should have been like. Now it's just the first 10 minutes of the film. I absolutely thought the cast was amazing. I really got into the characters of Spock, Kirk, and Bones. I really just loved the characters as well. I thought they were casted perfectly. And Eric Bana, that doesn't look like Eric Bana. He played a really good villain. And I also like Leonard Nimoy coming in and kind of bridging the gap between the two cast and crew. I was blown away by the visuals, and J.J. Abrams did a really good job kicking off this Star Trek universe. It just had so much fun with every single installment. Even Beyond is actually, I think, is one of the better ones as well. But Star Trek 2009 definitely kicked off that new universe of Star Trek films, and it's just such a fun ride to take. So Star Trek is on my list.
Yeah, all 3 of those movies so far have just been so much fun. So my number 5 is Serenity by Joss Whedon. Now this is like the movie spin-off continuation conclusion of the show Firefly, which unfortunately got canceled for some reason. I didn't watch it when it first aired, but I watched it on Netflix, and I loved the show, and the movie just is so much fun. It stars Nathan Fillion, Chiwetel Ejiofor. He plays such a great villain, and Nathan Fillion, he's fantastic. He's fun, he's funny, he can be serious. And unfortunately, I had seen this movie before I'd seen the show. So I had no idea who really the characters were, but then I watched the show and then the movie again, and I was like, man, this movie is so much fun.
Yeah, I did the same thing with you. I'm not a Firefly fan because I haven't watched the show, but I remember watching the movie and had a lot of fun with it. I also like Alan Tudyk in that movie as well.
Alan Tudyk, I think that was the first movie that I actually remember him being in. Because it was like the first movie that I was like, hey, that guy's pretty cool.
Number 5, I'm going to kick off my number 5 now. Number 5, as you actually already mentioned in your honorable mentions, and that's Gravity. This is just a non-stop thrill ride of a film that I wish I would have saw in 3D and in IMAX too. I think that experience would have made it even better. It's just a fun, well, it's not really fun. It's just like a non-stop action, non-stop event that just from start to beginning, right? Once everything starts going, it's just like it doesn't stop, it doesn't let up, and you're like, is she going to make it out alive? Is she dreaming? What's going on with this situation? And it's just your heart's palpitating throughout the whole film. It's just that's a really amazing space film to watch, and it's just like the visuals of that movie, the special effects they were able to pull off was just a thrill ride for me, and I really enjoyed Gravity.
Yeah, that movie, I love the long takes in that movie. Especially that first take when they're flying around the ISS. Just so cool. Well, my number 4, unfortunately it had to be at number 4. I so badly wanted to put it higher. But I'm pretty sure you're going to be bringing it up soon too, Adam, is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back by Irvin Kershner.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later. No. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, this movie, I so badly wanted to put it higher, but there were other movies that were just a little more nerdy that I liked as the space travel aspect. But this one, I love Star Wars. Everything about Star Wars. I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. It's tied for my favorite Star Wars movie with Episode 6, but this one has more of the space travel aspect of it, with the Millennium Falcon being kind of broken down and they gotta fix it. The asteroid scene is one of my favorite scenes in all of the Star Wars movies. Man, it's such a fun movie, and it takes all those characters that you met in A New Hope and just takes them on takes them further down the road. And Luke begins his training. Man, it's just such a fun movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a great one of my all-time favorite films of all time. I think it's from just the best Star Wars film, period, and definitely be talking about this one a little bit later. Number 4 for me is a Sam Rockwell film called Moon. And I'm not going to talk too much about the movie because it is something you definitely need to see. But it's a very claustrophobic film that basically Sam Rockwell's up on the moon, and he's by himself. He starts getting He starts getting paranoid because he's all by himself on this moon, and all he has to talk to is Kevin Spacey's voice. And it's just a very interesting film from start to finish. It's one of those movies that you definitely have to experience at least one time watching it, because as it starts revealing itself to you, your eyes are like, whoa, this is crazy film. It's not much like traveling, but it's definitely heavily in space, where the zero-G effects is really good. And this is a very claustrophobic film for me, and I just kind of just gives me the goosebumps every time I see it. Definitely need to watch a little more. I've only seen it a couple times, but just remember that impact when you first watch it. It was just like, whoa, that just really happened. And I really liked Moon a lot. So number 4 for me is where I'm putting it.
Oh man, that's one that I have not yet seen. It looked like a psychological type of movie that I missed my chance to see it because I had to work the night that my family was watching it, and I was like, oh man, I really want to see it. Number 3, we're moving on, getting close to the end here, guys. Number 3 for me is a movie that Adam actually already talked about, The Martian. This movie, it's fun at the same time as being hopeless, because it's kind of like Castaway on Mars, and he gets left behind, and it's sad, but they actually have fun with it. And there's so much scienciness to it, nerdiness at NASA. Sean Bean being in it, and they're actually talking about Lord of the Rings, just makes it like a Inception type of thing. It's just such a fun movie, and it's visually very pleasing. And man, it's a really enjoyable movie. Definitely check that one out, guys, if you have not seen it. But yeah, it's a really good one.
I totally forgot about the Lord of the Rings part of it, so that's funny. But he sciences the crap out of those potatoes, I can tell you that.
Yes, he does.
Number 3 for me was a movie you kind of hinted at, and that is Alien. And I think Aliens is better film. I did my ranking for that franchise. Aliens was my number 1. But I'm picking Alien for the simple fact that the Nostromo is that's part of the environment, what makes Alien so amazing. It's a very dirty ship, very gritty, very grimy. It's been lived in, and especially being in space where no one can hear you scream. That's where most of the movie takes place, is on the Nostromo, and that's where the environment is in. And having the alien come on board and slowly pick off the crew one by one, and lurking in the shadows, you think you're seeing stuff. I actually was rewatched this a couple months ago, leading up to Covenant, and yeah, the pacing of the film is really slow, but you're getting into one of the characters. And my first time watching it, I never really understood that the Nostromo was one of the main characters of the film, because that's the environment that they were in. And I think what this movie did so effectively was they didn't tell you who the main protagonist was until over halfway through the film, and then it was revealed that Ripley is the main protagonist. I really liked Alien a lot. I think it goes Aliens and then Aliens right there, just skimming the surface, but definitely have to put that at number 3 for me.
All right, so we're moving on to number 2. My number 2 is Europa Report by Sebastian Cordero. This movie, I don't want to spoil anything, but this movie, it's a found footage style where this group of astronauts are going off to explore one of the moons of Jupiter, Europa, to find life, because it's an ice moon that has vast oceans underneath the surface. It's a very interesting movie. It's got Sharlto Copley in it. He's a good character in that movie, and I love his accent. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Some good story elements in there, in my opinion. This is one of those few movies that really delivers on that found footage style, because it's not like a huge destruction movie, kind of like Cloverfield. It's out where not everyone's going to be seeing it happen. So yeah, I definitely have Europa Report as my number 2 movie.
I'll definitely have to check that out for sure. You gave me some homework again. All right, so number 2 for me is a little film that I'm not sure if you heard of, but it's Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. I'm putting it at number 2. I could have gone higher, but I'm sticking with number 2. I absolutely love this movie. This is one of my favorite films of all time. I just really love this space sequences in here, specifically that sequence where they're going through the astro field, and you never tell Han Solo the odds. You never do that. And just really loved everything about the movie, all the space stuff, all the darker tones from the first Star Wars film. The only reason why I didn't want to just put this at number 1 is because I don't want to put it up there just because that's one of my favorites. I want to put up there. I want to put up a better space movie up there, but Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back is definitely some really cool elements. I really loved what they were able to do. They built upon everything from the first film. It's just a lot more. It's grittier, a lot more fun. And surprisingly, this is the movie growing up as a kid that I actually did not like it whatsoever. And to be young and dumb, I rewatched it growing up when I was a teenager, then a young man, and then now I watch it quite frequently now. And I absolutely love this film. This is one of my favorite movies of all time and the best Star Wars movie in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way growing up. This one didn't really connect with me, but after getting older and seeing it multiple times, I was like, this one is really good, because it is like one of the best sequels ever made, to be honest.
Totally is. It builds upon everything from the first one.
All right, so we are on to our number 1s. These are our favorite space travel movies, guys. My number 1 is Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. What I love about this movie is it's got a lot of sciencey, nerdy stuff in it. They talk about wormholes, they talk about relativity, black holes, all that space stuff that, we only read about in like theoretical papers and stuff, It's such a great movie full of great performances. I love Matthew McConaughey in it, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain. It's hard to find a part in this movie that isn't intriguing. The surprise appearance by Matt Damon, he wasn't in any of the promotional stuff. His name wasn't even listed in the cast list on IMDb, and he just shows up in the movie. And that was so great to me. It's the robot Marines. Those guys were fun. And man, there's some gut punches in this movie, but it's a fun ride for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think the best moment for that, I actually like that probably movie a lot more than some, because I didn't watch a single trailer going into the theater watching this movie. I was like, this is the movie I will literally walk out of the theater if they show a trailer for the movie, and then I'll re-enter after the trailer is done. I've done that to a couple movies, and I'm glad that I did that for Interstellar, because I didn't want to get anything spoiled for me. I wanted to go in there with a fresh pair of eyes and just experience that film with like this open canvas, and I had such an amazing time with that. Just missed my list though, and I didn't put it at number 1.
Oh man, well I want to hear what your number 1 is for sure.
All right, here we go. Houston, we have a problem. I have Apollo 13 as my favorite space travel movie, not just because it's based off a real event, and at the time the person who directed this movie was Ron Howard, and he's one of my favorite directors, and just really liked what he was able to do with this. And this movie actually put Tom Hanks on the map for me. When I first watched, I didn't know who Tom Hanks was. I wasn't really into movies growing up as a kid, and I thought he was immediately one of my favorite actors from this movie. I just really loved how he was able to be the main guy of this shuttle, but also take a step back and let the other actors shine as well. Just really appreciate that. But as the story goes, like, this is a very serious thing that happened, and it was amazing that they got back to Earth safely. Just really liked the realism that they were able to kind of show us through in the film. I really liked it. I also loved how they focused on the family members that were at home too, and seeing their turmoil, that of their loved ones up in space and they couldn't do anything about it. Just really liked seeing the realism and just the characters as well. So Apollo 13 is one of my favorite space films as well of all time, and I just really love this movie, and every time I watch it, it gets better and better for me as well. It's one of my favorite movies. Again, one of my favorite movies of all time. So Apollo 13, my number one, clearly.
Yeah, that's such a fantastic movie. Again, it's a stressful movie because it's like they could have died out in space, but they figured out how to conserve energy and whip around the moon. And oh man, that's such a good movie. Good choice. So that is our list of our top 10 space movies. What do you guys think of our list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What would you put in your top 10 space movies? I want to know. Put your thoughts in the comments below. I was glad to have Adam here to join me on this adventure. Adam, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you one last time?
Mike, it was such a privilege being on your channel talking space films with you. I really had a lot of fun. Got some homework to do, I know, but definitely check those films out. But you guys can find me here on YouTube at Almost Sideways. I do rankings, reviews, anything revolving around movies. I love to talk about it. So come on over, join the conversation. We'd love to have you part of the channel. This is an awesome video, and I really appreciate being a part of it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. We also did another collaboration on Adam's channel. We did our top 5 post-apocalyptic movies. So definitely be able to just go on over to his channel, check that out. And he's got a lot of good content on his channel, guys. So yeah, go over to Almost Sideways. We also did another collaboration with another fellow YouTuber, Anthony from Silver Screen Analysis, doing our top and bottoms of the 2017 summer. We broke all the movies down. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big ol' thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be notified of when we upload new content. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.